What's up, guys? Well, back to a video with the Batman, and now officially out in theaters, and also a happy Batman Day as well. With this movie, it's really amazing. It's really a masterpiece. And with the Robert Pattinson, he really crushed it as Batman. And with Zoe Kravitz, she really crushed it as Catwoman as well as for the villains as well, and for the Riddler and for the Penguin as well. And for the story in general, it is really was an amazing story, even though it's not a Batman origin story. We're seeing like a Batman or like Swing does have full control over his emotions though in this movie. So in this video, this will be my official review of the Batman. But if you haven't seen the Batman, there are gonna be some major spoilers in this film, especially for the ending that totally sets up the future of the DC universe, especially for Robert Pattinson, the Batman, and even for the Penguin as well. And so if you haven't seen the movie, click on this video now and come back to this video after you've seen the movie. But if you're still here and you don't care, let's get into it. And now within this movie, the theme in general is mostly a horror vibe or like a murder mystery type of movie, as what they delivered in this movie, as because the movie starts with the Riddler looking at the house of the mayor. And then we see the mayor's kid as well, about passing fence. And then we see the mayor and his wife and his kid. And then with the Riddler, he looks at the window where he's going to be attacking and killing the mayor, because with the mayor, he's next on the Riddler's list. And then next we see the mayor again watching himself and the reporter on TV saying that the crime rate in Gotham has gone like extremely high, because out of all the Batman we've seen with Michael Keaton, Christian Bale, and Ben Affleck, and now with the Robert Pattinson being the new Batman being introduced into the DC universe, he's only in his second year of being a Batman of the Crusader, and he's in his second year of crime fighting, and he's on the detective side, and no one knows who the Batman really is, and that's why that. And then we see the mayor turning off the TV after having a phone call with his wife, and then we get our first introduction of Paul Dano's Riddler. And now from the first time I watched it, I mean, like, I got maybe a hard time, as I mentioned in my spoiler-free review. And then with the mayor, he turns on the TV, he walks away, and then gets killed by the Riddler with like a murder weapon, and it tapes him and kills him. Then we hear Bruce narrating that it's Halloween night, October 31st, and then we see people like dressing up in costume and makeup, and probably causing trouble and causing crime, and that's why the crime rate is so high. And then we see Bruce walking through the streets of Gotham, and with all the crime and chaos that he's witnessing all over Gotham. And then we get to where he gets to don the Batman suit, and then he sees the bat signal up in the sky, and then we get to where we see a gang on the subway laughing at like a video of like crime happening, and people getting hurt and beaten up, and they start laughing about it. And then when they get off the subway, they try to rob a guy, and with this one guy who clearly didn't want to help them in the gang, he tried to help them, like, rob the guy as well. And then we get the official reveal of the Batman for the very first time, and it looks so breathtaking to see on the screen. And then with the leader of the gang, he says like, who the heck are you supposed to be? And then he beats up the leader of the gang, calling him vengeance, and then that makes the whole gang, run away, especially for that guy who clearly didn't want to help them as well, rob the guy as well. And then he ran away too as well, and that was the perfect opening scene for the Batman movie, for like the Batman suit to be revealed for the very first time in that opening scene. And then we get to where Batman and Lieutenant James Gordon are investigating the crime scene, and then they go to investigate the crime scene, and then we see the mayor with his face taped shut, saying no more lies. And then as they're investigating the crime scene, we see Lieutenant James Gordon reading through the letter that like the Riddler left behind for the Batman to solve. And then with the envelope, it says to the Batman, and then the Batman sees the footprints from when the mayor's kid found him from when he was killed by the Riddler. And then we see the mayor's kid, and then he feels sad and heartbroken that his father, the mayor, was killed by the Riddler. And then after that, he leaves. The Batman leaves the crime scene, and then the song "Something in the Way" plays, and as we see Bruce riding through the streets of Gotham and back into the cave and trying to figure out the rest of the riddle from the Riddler that Bruce is trying to solve. And then we get introduced to Alfred Pennyworth, and then we see them two having a conversation about his family's legacy, and with Bruce saying that what he's doing is his family's legacy, and he doesn't care what happens to him, and that way Alfred's saying that it will long before you have nothing left. And with there being a lot of crime in Gotham, Batman has to definitely go out there and fight crime. And then we see them too the very next day trying to solve the rest of the riddle from the Riddler, and then with Bruce and Alfred trying to figure out more of the riddle, it spots the mayor and from Veronica as well, and with the Penguin being involved as well, and with Bruce leading him to the Penguin at the Iceberg Lounge to go and see the Penguin, but as Batman. And then we see Batman going into the Iceberg Lounge to speak with Osmo Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, and then we see Batman and the Penguin having a conversation and see what he knows about the Riddler and what led to the mayor being killed by the Riddler. And then we get introduced to Selina Kyle, aka Catwoman, and then we see Selina and the Penguin having a conversation, and then that's what led Batman into threatening the Penguin because of what he knows, and plus he's pretty much involved as well. And then we see Batman and Lieutenant Gordon try to figure out the rest of the riddle from the Riddler himself, and then that's what leads Bruce to Selina's apartment where she's putting on her Catwoman suit, and then that's what leads to Catwoman going into the mayor's home, cracking open the safe, and then we see Catwoman and Batman meeting for the very first time, or also known as Bat and the Cat, and then they fight, and then she covers her mouth until letting her know that someone's coming, and Batman and Catwoman hide, and then we learn with Selina's friend Veronica, she is involved with this. And then we see Batman is trying to get Selina to go back into the Iceberg Lounge and to meet with Gil Coulson, who's involved with this as well, to see what he knows about the rat, who is Carmine Falcon, with the riddle written with the rat underneath the light, and you'll find me. And then we see Selina and Gil Coulson having a conversation of what he knows about, and with the Selina walking with all of it, but with the Batman, he needs to get information from Gil Coulson about which led to the rat with Carmine Falcon, which leads to the Riddler as well. And then we see Selina going home and attacks it with Coulson being with Selina as well, and then she goes home, and then it ends with Coulson going into his car and being attacked and killed by the Riddler with being taped with a bomb shot around his neck, which led to the funeral scene. And then we see as Bruce is trying to get ready for the funeral, and then we see Alfred and trying to get Bruce a couple of cufflinks, which has the W logo on it, which stands for Wayne as well. With Alfred giving Bruce the cufflinks that belonged to his father, which he gave to Alfred to give to Bruce. And with Bruce saying that if Alfred Pennyworth is still a Wayne, even though his last name is Pennyworth, but because we all know Alfred Pennyworth throughout the DC universe as well. And then we see as Bruce is trying to drive to the funeral, we see a couple of protesters protesting No More Lies, and then Bruce arrives at the funeral, and then he sees people getting out of the car, which we assume is the Penguin with Falcon and Selina as well, even though he assumed that as Selina and Falcon were dating, and then we see it's not Selina, and then we see Falcon and Bruce having a conversation, and then we see Bruce is going into the funeral, and then we get introduced to Bella Rael, who is running for the mayor of Gotham, and then we see the two having a conversation, and then you see the mayor's kid and his wife as well, and they go to pay the respects. And then it all gets interrupted with a car crashing into the funeral, which is very popular with the funeral scene, as the way that they try to market this film with the funeral scene with the car crashing into the mayor's funeral as well. And then we see it is Gil Coulson, because as we know from the last scene, he was attacked by the Riddler, and then he was tased, and then he has a phone strapped to his hand, with an envelope strapped to his chest, saying that to the Batman, and with the bomb shot around his neck. With this car, it was probably controlled by the Riddler as well, and that's what led him crashing into the funeral. And then Batman shows up to Gil Coulson, who was all taped shut, and with the phone strapped to his chest. And then he sees another riddle from the Riddler that says, "There's a phone call away, answer." And then we see Gil Coulson is trying to answer the Riddler. And then with the Riddler, he shouts at Gil Coulson and gives him 3 riddles to answer. And if he gets all of them right, he lives. But then for the last riddle that he gets wrong, the bomb goes off with the timer. It goes off, and with the bomb blowing up and killing Coulson, and with the Batman being knocked out unconscious. And then he gets woken up at the police station with the cops and with Lieutenant Gordon as well. And then the Batman gets into a fight with the cops as well. And then we see this one hilarious scene with Lieutenant Gordon and Batman. And then Batman punches Gordon, and then and quickly Batman runs out of the police station. And then he goes on to the roof, and then he falls and jumps off. And then we see the wings coming out of the bat suit. And then out of nowhere he gets hurt and tumbled through the ground by the bus, and with his comment and the cave gone, which leads him to the bat signal and to the Penguin. And then we see to where Batman and Lieutenant Gordon point up to where the Penguin is, and then we see the Penguin there as well, and then we see Catwoman there as well, and then it leads into a gunfight with the Penguin into where the Batman was, and it isn't. We get the official reveal of the cool new Batmobile in this movie, and the first time I saw it when it got revealed in this movie, my theater went nuts over this whole Batmobile as I first look at it back in 2020, but to see it in this film with the cool Batmobile, which was awesome, and then it leads into an epic, awesome car chase between Penguin and the Batman, as the Batman gets into it and accidentally blowing him up, with the Penguin saying, "I got you," and then with the Batmobile, it survives and rushes into the fire, which was pretty sick to see on screen, and then he crashes into the Penguin, flipping him over, and then we see Batman walking toward the Penguin as well, and to confronting him and see what he knows about the Riddler. And with that being said, he gets handcuffed, and with that he has a lot of explaining to do. And then in the next scene, we see as Batman and Lieutenant Gordon are speaking to the Penguin, and for what he knows about with the Riddler as well, and he has a lot of explaining to do. And then it leads to another riddle, and leads him to a website called Radamala.org. This is actually an official website as well from the marketing campaign from the Batman as well. And then we see the Riddler trying to communicate with the Batman, and this text with a question mark to see who the next victim is. With that being said, he says probably an orphan, which is called the orphanage that burned down. And then we see as Batman and Lieutenant Gordon going into the orphanage that burned down, and then the Batman see his father Thomas Wayne on the news with the word saying that Riddler is a lie, that the sins of my father, which leads to the next victim, who is Bruce Wayne. And then with Bruce trying to get into Wayne Manor, trying to contact Alfred, and then he sees the things that the Riddler left behind for the Batman, and then with Alfred being involved, and with the letter that the Riddler left behind for the Batman, it was actually meant for Bruce Wayne, but Alfred ends up finding it, and then with that being said, Wayne Manor, a part of it blows up with Alfred in it, which lets him straight to the hospital. And then we're led straight to the hospital with Alfred and Bruce, and as Alfred is talking to Bruce, it reveals very shocking things about Bruce's family and who killed Bruce's parents, which is really heartbreaking. And with Bruce is saying that Alfred lied to him all those years, and then with Bruce is seeing the bat signal up in the sky, which leads him directly to the Iceberg Lounge to speak with a Falcone, and then as Bruce is speaking to him as well. And then we see Batman and Catwoman having a conversation, at which it is revealed that Falcone is Selina's father, and then it leads to a fight between Batman and Catwoman versus Falcone as well. And then it leads to this cool hallway fight between Batman and the rest of the gunmen as well, with this hallway fight led by gunfire. And then with Batman taking out Falcone in to being arrested, and then we see the Penguin there as well, and then he shots at the Penguin as well. And then with the Batman leading Falcone into the light, in which the Riddle said, with the rat underneath the light, and find me, which leads the Batman directly to the Riddler. And then we see as the Batman is going to investigate the Riddler in his apartment and along with the other cops as well. And then we see that the Riddler was staying the whole time as well. And then they hear that somebody spotted the Riddler going into a diner as well. And then we see the Riddler there as well. And then we see all the cops going to arrest the Riddler at the diner as well. And then he shows his face directly to the cops. And then he gets arrested and taken directly to prison. And that leads to the Batman going to visit the Riddler in prison as well, and the Riddler going over to what his scheme is and leaving all those clues and Riddler's plan for the Batman to to solve. And then with the Batman, he like calls him out and saying that many things to him, being called nothing because he is the Riddler as well. And then we see the Riddler going absolutely insane. I mean going absolutely insane. And then we get to the third act of the movie, which is with the Batman going back into Riddler's apartment along with another cop as well, uncovering something on the floor that says a real change, and that was being the password to unlock into the video that has like many views or like a million views as well. What the Riddler is about to do to the city of Gotham, which like blowing it up and flooding it as well, and with his having being on an election night with a Bella Reveal running for mayor as well, as she has won. And then we see Bella Reveal making a speech, and then she sees a real change, and then we see Bella Reveal like getting shot. It's probably from the Riddler as well. And then we see the Riddler there as well. We not just see one Riddler, but we also see multiple Riddlers entering the scene as well. And I mean the first time I saw like the multiple Riddlers entering the third act, my jaw was on the floor the entire time. And then we see the Batman crashing into the place and like saving the day. And then he like takes down all of the Riddlers, and then he like finally punches the Riddler as well. And then we see him like, getting shot by by a Riddler, the last Riddler as well. And then we see Selina and like kissing the Batman as well. And then we see as like a last Riddler calling up Batman out for being called vengeance. And then we see Batman like electrocuting himself and falling into the water, rescuing the people of Gotham and getting them to safety. And now, with this ending, we see the Batman like leading all the people to safety, with the Batman like helping out the people of Gotham after what happened that night when the Riddler flooded the city of Gotham and blowing up as well. And then we see the Riddler back in prison, and then we see a cameo by not only then like Barry Keoghan from Eternals, like who's playing another Joker in this movie as well. I mean, we are seeing playing Jokers in the DC universe as well, and then he says to the Riddler that he did this so well, and then it's probably must be like the Joker must be involved in it as well, but we're not sure. And then the last scene is with Batman and Catwoman having a conversation with Catwoman saying that this city won't be normal, and it's going to continue to get more crazy and crazier as well. And then we see Batman and Catwoman teaming up as like a duo to go on missions together. And then the very final scene is with the Batman and Catwoman riding together to the streets of Gotham as well. And then we see them going their separate ways, or going on missions as well, or going their separate ways. And then we see one last shot of the Batman looking at Catwoman as she is leaving. And then we get one last shot of Batman, and then the movie ends from there. And now, with the ending, there is no post-credit scene though, but there is a tease and directly from the Riddler himself as saying goodbye with that font from the Guatemala website as well. It's also the official website for the marketing of the Batman as well. And plus, we have like so much coming our way with the future of the DC universe, especially with Robert Pattinson's the Batman, and with the sequel to the Batman, and the HBO Max spin-off series starting with the Penguin, as has also been announced as well. So yeah, I can't wait for all of it. And yeah, for the Batman, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really a masterpiece, and it was amazing. And plus, even though this isn't like a Batman or origin story, we're seeing like a young Bruce Wayne who doesn't have any control of his emotions, which is exactly what they delivered in this film as well. And I really felt like too, with Batman being like in the second year of crime fighting, and with being on the detective side, and now he's officially becoming the Batman as well. And I just can't wait for the sequel to the Batman with the HBO Max series spinoff involving the Penguin, and where it leads to next. And I can't wait to see where Batman and Catwoman go from there and team up next probably in the sequels. Yeah, so I really enjoy the Batman, and I can't wait for more that is coming our way with the Batman being a masterpiece and a great movie, and it's amazing as well. So that's gonna be it for my review, official review of the Batman. Let me know in the comments down below, and what you thought of the Batman, and give me a rating between 1 out of 10. Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe and turn on the notification bell for future videos. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter for live updates. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.